Have you ever faced a problem so tangled, so impossible, that it felt like there was no right answer? Imagine being a king, where every day the fate of your people rests on your decisions. This isn't just any king. This is King Solomon, a name that, even thousands of years later, is synonymous with incredible wisdom. But how did he earn this legendary reputation? The story isn't just about a crown and a throne. It's about a divine gift and a test that would echo through history. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're journeying back to ancient Israel, to the golden age of King Solomon. Before we dive into the most famous display of his wisdom, let's understand the man himself. Solomon was the son of King David, and when he ascended the throne, he was young and felt the immense weight of his responsibility. He knew he couldn't rule a great nation on his own. So one night, in a dream, God appeared to Solomon and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Now think about that. What would you ask for? Riches? A long life? Victory over your enemies? Solomon asked for none of these. Instead, he humbly said, "Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." God was so pleased with this selfless request that he not only granted Solomon a wise and discerning heart, unlike anyone before or after him, but he also gave him the riches and honor he hadn't asked for. It was a powerful lesson. Seek wisdom first, and all else will follow. But a gift like this needs to be proven, and soon an extraordinary case would arrive at his court, a test that would require more than just legal knowledge. It would require a deep understanding of the human heart. Transition to the main story. The doors of the royal court swing open, and the usual hum of activity falls silent. Two women rush in, their voices overlapping in a frantic, desperate argument. They are both distraught, both filled with grief and anger, and they are clutching at a single, tiny, living baby. This is the moment that would define Solomon's reign. They both stand before the king, and one woman begins her story. "My lord," she cries, "this woman and I, we live in the same house. I gave birth to a son, and 3 days later, she also gave birth to a son. We were alone. There was no one else in the house." Her voice trembles as she continues. "But during the night, her son died because she lay on him. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while I was asleep. She put her dead son in my arms and took my living son for herself. When I woke up in the morning to feed my baby," she sobs, "I found him dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't the son I had given birth to." Just as she finishes, the second woman erupts. "No, the living one is my son, the dead one is yours." The first woman immediately retorts, "No, the dead one is yours, the living one is mine." Their argument rages back and forth, a chaotic storm of "he's mine" and "no, he's mine." There were no witnesses, no evidence. It was one woman's word against another's. How could anyone possibly know the truth? The entire court watched, holding their breath. This was the ultimate dilemma. Any ordinary judge would be stumped. Do you give the baby to the first woman, who spoke more convincingly? The future of this tiny, innocent life hung in the balance, and it all depended on King Solomon's next words. Build suspense. Solomon let the silence settle. He looked from one woman to the other, his gaze steady and penetrating as if he could see right into their souls. He wasn't just hearing their words, he was reading their hearts. He knew that a lie can be dressed up in passion, and the truth can be choked by grief. He needed to find a way to make the truth reveal itself. Finally he spoke, his voice calm but firm, cutting through the tension. One says, "This is my son, who is alive, and your son is the dead one," while the other says, "No, your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one." He had summed up the impossible knot. Then he gave an order so shocking, so seemingly cruel, that the entire court gasped. "Bring me a sword," he commanded. A guard, though puzzled, obeyed and brought a long, sharp sword, its polished steel glinting in the light. What was the king planning to do? The two women stared, confused and frightened. Then Solomon delivered his verdict, a judgment that seemed to be the very definition of barbarism. "Cut the living child in two," he declared, "and give half to the one and half to the other." Climax and resolution. Can you imagine the horror in that room? To suggest cutting a living, breathing baby in half? It was unthinkable, a monstrous solution. The second woman, the one who had been so quick to argue, actually nodded in agreement. "It shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide him," she said, her voice cold and filled with a bitter, selfish spite. In that moment, her true nature was exposed. She would rather see the child perish than let the other woman have him. But the first woman, the true mother, screamed in agony. Her heart was being torn apart. "No, my lord," she pleaded, falling to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "Please, give her the living baby. Don't kill him. Just let him live." Her love for her child was so immense that she would rather give him up to suffer the pain of losing him forever than to see a single hair on his head harmed. Her own life, her own happiness, meant nothing compared to his safety. It was the ultimate act of selfless maternal love. And in that instant, Solomon had his answer. The truth had burst forth, clear as day. He raised his hand, his voice now filled with authority and compassion. "Give the living baby to the first woman," he commanded. "Do not kill him. She is his mother." A collective sigh of relief and awe swept through the court. The guards gently took the baby and placed him in the arms of his weeping, joyful mother. Justice had been served, not through a loophole in the law, but through a profound insight into the human spirit. Solomon hadn't needed witnesses or evidence. He had used the truth of a mother's love as his guide. The news of this judgment spread like wildfire throughout Israel. Everyone heard how the king had judged, and they held him in awe. They saw that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. He wasn't just a ruler, he was a wise and compassionate shepherd for his people. This story teaches us so much. It shows that true wisdom isn't just about being smart or knowing facts. It's about empathy, discernment, and understanding the depths of the human heart. It's about looking past the noise and the anger to find the underlying truth. Solomon's genius was in creating a situation where the liar condemned herself and the truthful person revealed her love. In our own lives, when we face difficult choices or confusing conflicts, we can remember Solomon. We can ask for a discerning heart. We can strive to look deeper, to understand motivations, and to act with both justice and compassion. The best solutions often come not from a clever argument, but from a place of genuine empathy and a desire for what is truly right. What do you think of Solomon's incredible judgment? It's a story that has been told for centuries, and its power has never faded. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It is a timeless reminder that wisdom and love are the most powerful forces for uncovering the truth. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more timeless Bible tales of wisdom and history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to ring the bell so you won't miss our next video. Until next time, seek wisdom and be well.